Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the DCU. We're going to be specifically talking about another project that has been teased that will begin filming in 2024 alongside Superman Legacy in March. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future DCTV videos later this year. Okay, so we have quite a lot of topics to go over in today's video. It's kind of going to be a roundup video. We got some comments about the DCU coming from James Gunn. We've got lots of those that we're going to break down that we haven't talked about before. Plus, we have a big news article that we have to break down. It's not necessarily DC related, but it could potentially be. I think it's worth it to actually bring it up because it's Warner Brothers related, and I think it's going to show a big shift in Warner Brothers strategy going forward into the future. And obviously that is DC related at the end of the day. So let's go ahead and get into the first topic. So the first topic is going to be all to do with the DCU, all to do with James Gunn. We're going to talk about what you came here to actually see. And so these questions are coming from many DC fans online on threads who have basically been commenting and asking James Gunn questions, and he is very active there as we've made lots of videos. You can see he comments all the time, he replies all the time. So if you have any good questions, go ahead and go to James Gunn's page on threads and ask him a good question. I'm sure he'll answer it. But let's go over the first question. So James Gunn should make Peacemaker the new Psycho Pirate the only character to remember the old universe. He's referring to Crisis on Infinite Earths and the role that Psycho Pirate played in that comic. And he keeps trying to explain this to the other characters and they make fun of him thinking he's made up this story. And so James Gunn replied to this, well, I wouldn't want the universe shift to be that big of a part of the story. So what do I make of this? Let's break it down. So talking about Peacemaker as the new Psycho Pirate, because obviously Peacemaker was part of the DCEU and now he is transitioning like a lot of those other Suicide Squad characters over to James Gunn and Peter Safran's new DCU with DC Studios. And so could he take on a kind of Psycho Pirate role in Crisis where he's the only one that remembers the old universe? It would definitely be an interesting idea, and like James says, he doesn't want it to be like that big of a deal, but he isn't going to just shy away from it. That's the impression I get from his comment, because his comment says, well, I wouldn't want the universe shift to be that big a part of the story. It's not, I don't want this at all. He hasn't said that. He hasn't said no, like this is not happening. He's saying, I don't want it to be a big part of the story, but it can be a little bit of a small part maybe. Doesn't mean that he is referring to Peacemaker being the new Psycho Pirate and remembering the universe, but maybe there's some hints and nods here and there to the DCEU, because this isn't a hard reboot after all. At the end of the day, if you look at it properly, you've got these characters coming over from the DCU, and yes, they might be different from the past iterations, but they're going to be played by the same people. So really, when you look at it, it's more of a soft reboot, or like somewhere in between, like a medium reboot, I guess you could say. Okay, let's move on to the next question. This is to do with Swamp Thing in the DCU. So they say, hey James, both James Mangold and Guillermo del Toro expressed an interest in Swamp Thing. What made you choose James Mangold for the movie? James's reply is, well, for starters, James actually expressed his interest to me. Guillermo, who I know and love, did not. So there you go, that's his reply. Guillermo didn't express interest in that specific project, which is fair enough because Guillermo is a busy guy. He's a great director. He made some amazing films. Yes, he would be a good fit for Swamp Thing and anything kind of creature related in DC, or maybe like Justice League Dark. He would make a great film for sure. But considering that he never asked or it wasn't in contention, I believe that James Mangold just pretty much went to him straight away and said, look, I'm interested in this film. Like, if we do a Swamp Thing with the new DCU, can I do it? And I think it's just as simple as that, right? Like, we can't really read too much into this, so let's move on to the next question. So someone asked, will it have a title card relating to the new DCU? And this is in reply to a Peacemaker question that someone on threads was asking, basically to do with the Peacemaker intro. Is it going to be another dance sequence by the same coordinator? And James Gunn confirmed it. And then there was this question, will it have a title card relating to the new DCU? And the answer was simply yes, full stop. So we're going to get a new DCU title card whenever Peacemaker Season 2 comes out. Again, he hasn't even finished writing that show. They are prepping Superman Legacy right now. That is their main focus. And then after then, we could have some other projects later in the year that get started. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But the new title card will be on all of those projects, even if it's Peacemaker Season 2, which had the first season in the DCU. They will all have that new title card. You won't be seeing that old DC card. You're going to be seeing a new DC Studios card at the start of all of these projects, whether it's film, TV, or anything like that. So let's move on to the most important question that I wanted to talk about. And so this question is, will Legacy be the only DCU project to enter production this year? That is a great question, and James Gunn replied to it, and he said, nope, full stop. So that is our answer. Legacy isn't going to be the only DCU project to enter production this year, and what they mean by production is like actual filming, or if it's an animated show, it's actually going into the booths, recording those voice actors. So the question is, what project could that be? Is it a TV show or is it a film? I'm going to say more likely than not, it's probably a TV show. Now, we have Waller, that is definitely going to be sometime early in the DCU. I guess that's an option. We'll talk about that in a minute. There's also Paradise Lost. There's Booster Gold. There is Lanterns. Creature Commandos is already pretty much done at this point, so it's not going to be that because they started working on that last year. So could it be any of the TV shows, or could it be one of the films? Now, I'm not going to say it can't be any of the TV shows. I think probably Waller is actually one of your best bets. I would say it's out of 2 projects. So the first one being Waller, because I think it's just a project that they just want to get out of the way, because obviously they've already set up a lot of stuff to do with Waller in the DCEU. We know that they're staying with the same casting. It's going to be related to Peacemaker, the Suicide Squad. It's going to have many of the characters that we've seen before in past spin-offs, but also in the Suicide Squad films. Plus, a while ago, James Gunn was quoted as saying, I'm working on Superman Legacy, so we can't do Peacemaker Season 2, but we're working on Waller in between. So I think that gives you an idea that Waller is coming soon. It's coming before Peacemaker Season 2, despite James Gunn commenting a lot to do with Peacemaker recently, but I guess that's just because he's writing it. And so we're definitely going to see Viola Davis return as Amanda Waller sometime soon. I would say that's probably your best bet. And then I would say your second best bet is probably Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, only because it's actually been teased that Supergirl could show up in Superman Legacy, and it's being also teased as like one of the major DCU films to kickstart things. And obviously I would love that because I'm a big Supergirl fan. I want to see Supergirl, I want to know who has been cast as Supergirl when it eventually happens. But if she appears in Superman Legacy, I think I would be far more convinced that potentially that rumor that was leaked a while ago, that maybe Supergirl or Woman of Tomorrow could start filming at the end of 2024, could be a reality. So for now, I'm not really convinced that much because it is going to be a big project, and we only got the writer that was announced a while ago. Yes, she worked on a previous version of Supergirl film for the DCEU before. She could adapt that. But then at the same time, they have Tom King on board, the writer of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow in the comics, and then they have this hired writer to write the actual screenplay. So considering that they got both of them heavily involved in the DCU, why can't they just get going on it? Because the story is great as it is in the comics. If you've read the whole run, it's an amazing story that literally translates very well, I think, to the big screen. So yeah, they could get going with it, but we'll have to wait and see which one comes first. But I like that tease from James that, there's potentially going to be another project in production, or at least right now it's scheduled to be in production by the end of the year. I'm going to say it's Waller for now, but it could be Supergirl if things get started properly. Okay, so the last topic of today's video is all to do with Warner Brothers. Now, Warner Brothers obviously in a bit of a pickle right now in terms of their financial situations. We've talked recently about them wanting to acquire Paramount potentially in a merger, but that's another topic for another day. But for now, let's go into this. This is huge breaking news for Warner Brothers, that Warner Brothers and Tom Cruise to jointly develop and produce original and franchise theatrical films starring Cruise beginning in 2024 under newly formed strategic partnership. This is coming from Warner Brothers themselves. So they say that they met with Tom Cruise today and they basically announced that they would be jointly developing and producing original and franchise theatrical films specifically films starring Cruise in 2024 under their new strategic partnership, and basically he would have an office on the Warner Brothers lot in LA. And this partnership obviously is a big deal because Tom Cruise is one of the biggest actors out there. He's one of the most well-known faces, and it specifically says franchise films but also original films that Tom Cruise will star in. So this is a big deal. This is a legend in the film industry, and it's something that would be really interesting if, you know, he got involved in like DC IP. Imagine who could Tom Cruise play and what kind of mad film could he make? Is there any chance that because they've got this new partnership, he could get involved with DC and what they're doing right now? I mean, it would be interesting, but I think for now he's going to focus on his own projects, and Mission Impossible obviously is a separate thing away from Warner Brothers. But this is for the future, and clearly this is a huge deal for Warner Bros. I think they're going to be super excited about the prospects of all the different projects that they could get going with Tom Cruise in the future. So for now, thank you guys so much for watching. That pretty much does it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. And you can click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video. But for now, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.
I see red.